Welcome to the Popish Plot. I'm Nate.
I'm Jessica.
And I'm Mike.
And we're here with your second and final installment of the Saints of June, whose names you have probably never heard carried by another living soul.
Yeah. Again, everybody knows a lot of Mikes. Most people know a lot of Jessicas. It's very likely you've never met a person named after one of these saints, and that's a bit of a shame.
Yep.
So, we start on June 17th with Saint Gondulphus of Tongeren, a 6th century French bishop. Gondulphus.
That's
cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that kid is... Nobody's going to get his... Everybody will get his name wrong at first, but nobody will forget that kid.
Gondulphus.
We also have someone who seems like they were named by very self-assured hippies of St. Rainbold, who's also known as Rainnold, who died in...
1001.
He's an abbot who's said to have died at age 100. So, therefore, he should have been born in 901.
Yeah, it's like when your parents name you River. Or Rainbow.
Yes. On the 19th, we have two saints. The first one of which being Saint Protase. Or Protase. Died 165. They were a patron of Milan, haymakers, and for the discovery of thieves. Nope. Yes.
Yes, they
also,
were patron
and they were a martyr.
All those things.
Sorry, the lines blended together, and I thought I started reading.
I did. For the discovery of thieves. Also, I presume
not to be confused with the discovery of thieving. That was a different thing, and I don't think there's a saint who's a patron of it.
No, although from what I read, an edition of the story, they were like thought to be the first martyr in Milan, so everyone just threw like every patronage they wanted on them.
Absolutely.
Like, oh.
Listen, this, as in many things, getting there early gets you the good stuff. Mm-hmm. Also, I'm presuming that's like literal haymakers, not the haymaker punch.
Yeah, I assume given the agricultural time, they cared about feeding their livestock during winter, even though it's not as cold there, but still it's winter.
It is preferable that the livestock not die, lest you not die.
Yeah.
Also, on June 19th, we have Saint Ursicinus of Ravenna. Died in 67. No other numbers in front of that. A doctor and martyr, not to be confused with the bishop
of Ravenna.
Ursicinus of Ravenna. So
there's a bishop in the same place, and there's him. And they're two different.
It's a Bruno of Cologne situation. There's Bruno of Cologne, the founder of the Carthusians. Mm-hmm. And there's also Bishop Bruno of Cologne, known as Bruno the Great, to separate him from the actual saint. Two guys from the same place with the same name.
All right.
So, Ursicinus of Ravenna, the saint, not Ursicinus of Ravenna, the bishop, who may be a saint but is not formally canonized.
Or is it just they didn't note it on this?
Now, we move on.
2 days later, we move on to Saint Urciscenus, who died in 216 and was the bishop of Pavia, Italy.
Possibly named after the earlier Ursicinus of Ravenna. So, we now jump ahead to June 23rd. We have Saint Hiduiphus AKA Hidulf, died in 707, a founder and the husband of Saint I.
Spelled with an A.
A-Y-E. I. A? Saint A?
I wasn't disagreeing with your pronunciation. I was simply saying, the letter I or like your I. No, it's a completely different I.
As in I, matey.
Also on the 23rd, we have Saint, I'm going to say it's Moelray, also known as Saint Moeliai. My apologies to the people who know how to pronounce that name.
I'm choosing to mispronounce this as Moelray.
Moelray. Died 493, an abbot in Ireland.
I know it's wrong, but I would go with Moelray.
Mo the King. Moelray. He was not only an abbot of Ireland, he was also inventing Spanish.
And a luchador, given that name.
And given that his name is Mo, he probably ran a pub.
All right. And also...
I want a flaming Mo.
On the 23rd is Saint Walhere. He was a priest murdered by another cleric.
And apparently an architect, because he told people where to put the walls.
Walhere. June 24th. Saint Amphibalus, a martyr. Thought to have been a companion of Saint Alban.
And then the next one is June 25th. We got 3 saints. I can...
Don't mind, just go on. Don't mind me.
Buddy.
I'm going to insist that the name is Gohardus, because if I say it how it's spelled, it's even funnier. Because it looks like Gohardus.
Gohardus.
He died in 843. He was a bishop who was martyred while saying mass by the Normans. He was killed by the Normans.
Yes.
The Normans weren't saying mass. That'd be weird.
Yeah. Although, we've got, say, Walhere, who was martyred by another cleric, so it could happen. A Norman priest was saying the mass and decided to martyr him, but probably not.
I don't think there's any case in which a priest was martyred while...
No. The way that this works, while saying mass by the Normans, that either means that he was saying mass and was at that time martyred by Normans, or he was simply choosing to say mass when the martyrs were, or when the Normans were just over there.
Yeah, he was saying mass as they were at the city gates type thing. Although when you said the one thing, I'm now imagining like 2 priests that are saying mass together. Yeah. Where it's like, I don't think any priest has been martyred by the other priest he was saying mass with.
Look,
not even the Borgias.
we had that case. There's a case of a priest martyred, in the communion line. But
look, we had a disagreement over which one of us was going to be
who's celebrating and who's con-celebrating.
Who was the celebrant and who was the con-celebrant, and I just couldn't deal with it anymore.
All right, let's go on to
also important to note 843. That's over 200 years before the Norman conquest of England. So this is when the Normans are still in full Viking phase.
Yes. Also on June 24th, we have... Nope.
June 25th.
Oh, okay. Sorry, there's a bit of a typographical issue here. Also on June 25th.
The whole day is sainted now.
The whole day. Saint June 25th.
That's a name you hear, but not together.
No.
I don't think there's a Saint June.
So it's gonna take a really long time for you to get enough kids to have Saint June the 25th. This is June the 1st.
New papal name just dropped. We're playing the long game.
All right.
Saint Molonachus died in the 7th century, a bishop in Scotland.
Well done, man. You didn't stumble that one at all.
No.
And so, wrapping things up, still on the non-canonized June 25th, Saint Selyf died in the 6th century, a hermit of Cornwall.
All right.
Where they're big devotees of Tin and Saint Piran.
This is you. You can do this.
June 26th, we believe in you.
We have Saint Perseveranda.
Yeah, that's pretty close.
Perseveranda. It's like perseverance, anda.
Also known as Pezaine.
Pezaine!
They died in 726, and they founded a convent and died fleeing pirates.
Well, it is a good thing to flee from pirates. We should just mourn the fact that Saint Perseveranda did not succeed in fleeing from pirates.
Yes, I believe the pirates were attacking the convent.
Indeed. Pirates, man. Just don't do it. On June 28th,
we have Saint Argymirus. Died 858, a monk who was beheaded. And given that we only know that they were a monk who was beheaded, it means they didn't get to become one of our favorite varieties of martyred saints. Can't remember the word for it. It's something cepha...
Oh, yes, where they walk around with their head afterwards.
Yeah, autocephalus.
Autocephalus. They walk around with their heads.
No, sorry. That's an Eastern bishop.
No.
Cephalophore.
Cephalophore. There we go. That's it. Yes.
Yep, like St. Denis. And also on June 25th, we have Saint Crummine. Died in the 5th century. I'm assuming it's Crummine, not just Crummine, but I could be wrong. Died in the 5th century, a bishop and disciple of St. Patrick. For a disciple of St. Patrick, that is totally reasonable to pronounce. Some of them are just wild.
Do you want this or do you want me to take it?
Go ahead and take it.
at the end of the month, on June 30th, we have
This is actually like 3 saints.
Saint Clotsindis, also known as Clotsend, also known as Glodesind.
So you could have like triplet daughters and name them those 3.
Yep. They were born in 635, died they were born 635-ish, and they died in 714 as an abbess.
So, as always, we apologize for our mispronunciations. We are very much people of our time and place.
I apologize for nothing.
Except for Nate. He apologizes for nothing. So, comment below with some more obscure names that you think little kids should have. Just to stand out from all the Dakotas and Olivias.
Just please make them
all the
real,
Jacob,
distinct names.
All the Jacobs. Yeah, like
Clotsindis.
Like Clotsindis. Or Gondulphus.
Or Moelray.
Moelray. Give this episode a like, subscribe to our channel, ring the church bell to be notified the next time a plot is uploaded. We'll try to come up with a equally entertaining theme for the July Saints. And until then,
remember to live your faith.
Love your faith.
Share that love.